In international diplomacy, a single image can speak volumes. Sometimes a photograph captures not just a moment, but the mood of an entire era, revealing subtle shifts in power, alliances, and global priorities. The now famous car selfie of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin did just that. It wasn't just a casual snapshot, it was a carefully timed image that sent ripples through diplomatic circles worldwide. Captured during a high-level meeting, the photo went viral, drawing global attention and concern in Washington, D.C. Social media lit up with speculation, and newsrooms scrambled to interpret its deeper meaning. The image arrived as global alliances shift and the old world order faces new challenges. With every handshake and every photo op, the balance of power is being renegotiated. More than a friendly snapshot, it symbolized the enduring India-Russia bond, thriving despite Western pressure. Their camaraderie was on full display, highlighting a partnership that has weathered decades of geopolitical storms. For the US, which has invested in India as a counterweight to China, the selfie was a wake-up call. It raised questions about the reliability of alliances and the unpredictability of global politics. It underscored India's commitment to strategic autonomy, engaging all major powers, not just the West. India's foreign policy is increasingly about flexibility, pragmatism, and putting its own interests first. Lawmakers and analysts in Washington quickly debated its meaning. Was India signaling a pivot away from the US? Or was it simply asserting its independence in a world where allegiances are constantly shifting? The photo forced a hard look at whether US policy is strengthening or straining its partnership with India. It prompted urgent discussions about how to maintain influence and trust in a rapidly changing world. It highlighted a new reality. Major powers like India are asserting independence, making choices based on their own interests. The days of automatic alignment are fading, replaced by a more complex multipolar world. The Modi-Putin selfie became a symbol of this multipolar world, challenging old assumptions about alliances. It showed that influence is no longer dictated by tradition, but by adaptability and self-interest. It was a clear signal that Washington must rethink how it navigates today's complex diplomatic landscape. In this new era, every image, every gesture, and every relationship carries weight, and the world is watching. U.S. Representative Sidney Kamlager-Dove summed up the American reaction. The Modi-Putin selfie spoke 1,000 words. It wasn't just a viral image, it was a diplomatic earthquake, reverberating through the halls of power in Washington and beyond. Her comment captured the anxiety on Capitol Hill about shifting alliances. Lawmakers and analysts alike scrambled to interpret what the image meant for America's global standing, and whether it signaled a deeper realignment in world politics. The image was a potent symbol. India, a key U.S. partner, openly maintaining warm ties with Russia. It was a reminder that India's foreign policy is guided by its own priorities, not just by Western expectations. For lawmakers, it was more than a photo. It was a symptom of deeper problems in U.S. foreign policy. The selfie exposed the limits of American influence, especially when it comes to persuading partners to choose sides. Kamlager-Dove argued that recent American policies, especially those seen as coercive, were backfiring. Instead of drawing allies closer, these tactics risked alienating them, making them more likely to seek out alternative partnerships. The selfie showed India confidently pursuing its own interests, even as U.S.-India ties frayed over trade and political pressure. India's assertiveness on the world stage is a sign of its growing confidence and desire for strategic autonomy. It challenged the simplistic view of global politics as a battle between democratic allies and authoritarian adversaries. The world is far more nuanced, with countries navigating a web of relationships that defy easy categorization. India, a democracy, was pictured in close friendship with Russia, a U.S. adversary. This visual contradiction forced many in Washington to reconsider old assumptions about loyalty and alignment. The photo forced Americans to confront the complexity of international relations, where interests, history, and economics shape unexpected partnerships. In today's interconnected world, alliances are fluid, and national interest often trump ideology. Ultimately, the selfie was about choice. India's right to pick its partners. It was a declaration of independence in foreign policy, a signal that India will not be boxed in by external pressures. For U.S. lawmakers, it was a warning. Punitive measures could push partners away. The risk is not just losing influence, but also driving friends into the arms of rivals. The message: if the U.S. wants strong alliances, it must be flexible and understanding. In a world of shifting loyalties, respect and dialogue may matter more than ever before. Beneath the surface, the US-India partnership faces mounting challenges that threaten to overshadow years of growing cooperation and shared interests. While both nations publicly emphasize their commitment to a strong alliance, recent events have exposed deep-seated tensions and mutual frustrations. Trade disputes have escalated, with the US criticizing India's protectionist policies and India pushing back against American tariffs. The disagreements have spilled over into public statements and policy decisions, making compromise increasingly difficult. The tit-for-tat tariff war has hurt businesses and consumers on both sides, disrupting supply chains and raising prices for everyday goods. Small exporters and manufacturers in particular have struggled to adapt to the new barriers. Tensions peaked in August 2025 when the US imposed a sweeping 50% tariff on most Indian goods, partly in response to India's continued purchases of Russian oil, but also as a signal of growing impatience in Washington. India's deep defense and energy ties with Russia remain a sticking point for Washington. The US worries these connections undermine its efforts to isolate Moscow and complicate broader strategic goals in the region. US laws threaten sanctions on countries buying Russian arms, though India has so far received a waiver. But the threat of future penalties continues to cast a shadow over bilateral relations. India insists its Russia relationship is a matter of security and necessity, not defiance. Officials argue that their unique security needs and regional realities require a pragmatic approach. These trade and geopolitical challenges create friction, undermining the partnership both sides claim to value. The sense of trust and predictability that once defined the relationship is now under strain. Indian policymakers now question the reliability of the US as a long-term partner, weighing their options as global alliances shift and new uncertainties emerge. The Modi-Putin selfie, in this context, signals that India has options beyond Washington. It's a subtle reminder that India's foreign policy is guided by its own interests, not just Western expectations. If one door closes, others remain open. For India, the world is full of possibilities, and the US must now work harder to remain a preferred partner. The selfie didn't create Washington's concerns, it spotlighted them. On Capitol Hill, lawmakers like Pramila Jayapal have warned that a heavy-handed US approach is damaging the relationship. She pointed to tariffs and restrictive immigration policies as key sources of friction. Tariffs, she argued, hurt both economies and American consumers. Immigration barriers, especially for skilled Indian workers, erode goodwill and people-to-people ties. Critics say the US focus on transactional issues risks losing the bigger strategic prize, a strong partnership with a rising Asian democracy. The fear is that pressure will push India to diversify its alliances further. The selfie became Exhibit A, proof that US policy may be backfiring. The US-India economic relationship is on a knife's edge, with tariffs threatening progress. President Trump's recent warning of new tariffs on Indian rice exports is just the latest flashpoint. American farmers, feeling undercut by cheap imports, have pushed for protectionist measures. Then this cycle of threats and retaliation creates instability, making long-term business planning difficult. Ongoing trade talks in New Delhi have stalled, with both sides holding firm. The 50% US tariff on Indian goods has left little room for compromise. This brinkmanship risks real economic pain and erodes trust. It also makes it harder to cooperate on bigger strategic issues, like countering China. India's foreign policy is built on strategic autonomy, engaging multiple power centers to serve its own interests. The India-Russia partnership, rooted in Cold War history, remains vital for India's defense. Russia supplies critical military hardware that can't be easily replaced. When US-India ties are strained, India's traditional partnerships become even more valuable. US pressure can inadvertently strengthen India's resolve to maintain these ties. The Modi-Putin selfie isn't defiance, it's a reaffirmation of India's doctrine. India wants strong ties with both the US and Russia. The challenge for Washington is to accept this reality. Forcing India to choose could damage hard-won trust. Understanding the US-India relationship requires seeing both perspectives. Washington views India as a key partner against China and expects alignment on strategic issues. India's close ties with Russia and protectionist policies frustrate U.S. policymakers. From New Delhi's view, strategic autonomy is paramount. India is not a junior partner. The U.S. is one of many important relationships, not the only one. India's Russia ties are about security and history, not a snub to the U.S. Trade barriers are seen as necessary for domestic development. U.S. tariffs and sanctions are viewed as coercive, fueling resentment. This dynamic reinforces India's determination to avoid overdependence on any single country. Repairing the U.S.-India relationship requires more than summits. It demands patience and understanding. The U.S. must accept India's strategic autonomy and focus on areas of convergence, not just points of friction. Rethinking tariffs and adopting a more collaborative approach would build trust. India, in turn, can address some U.S. concerns on trade and market access. Clear communication about its Russia ties can help manage expectations. The partnership's strength will depend on regular dialogue and deeper ties beyond government. Like any strong relationship, it needs constant work and compromise. The goal: a resilient partnership that can weather disagreements and deliver long-term benefits. The Modi-Putin selfie is more than a viral moment, it's a symbol of shifting global alliances. The world is moving from rigid blocks to a web of pragmatic, interest-based partnerships. The US can no longer assume automatic alignment from its partners. To lead, Washington must be reliable, respectful, and persuasive, not just powerful. The selfie exposed fault lines, but also sparked necessary debate about US policy. Such moments force introspection and adaptation in foreign policy. The future of partnerships like US-India will rest on mutual respect and shared interests. Symbolic moments test the strength of these foundations. Both sides must look beyond the immediate and focus on the bigger picture. In diplomacy, understanding the story behind a single image is key to building lasting alliances.